So boys, we've got a new video. We're going to run through the 4 factors that make an aesthetic personal brand and why that is so key nowadays compared to literally all the other personal brands being set up constantly, then being terrible. Let's be real, like 90% of them are just copies, don't stand out and no one trusts them, therefore they're not selling their info either. I've been able to generate tens of millions of views on TikTok, hundreds of thousands on Pinterest, even maybe millions, and within the first 4 days of having a new client, we were able to get him 1 million views via Instagram Reels too. Firstly, you need to understand that a personal brand has to be aesthetic because it's more trustworthy. When you care more for your personal brand, people see the quality increase that you also have compared to all the other people. They see the uniqueness and they want to chip into that. They want to buy into you for those exact reasons. Now, starting off with the overall branding. Now, this goes across all the different social media platforms, and just in general is the rule book that you're going to follow. So your brand rules, these make your content feel and look like they belong to each other. First thing to do is probably look at some inspiration, because let's be real, the best people out there are probably the ones who copy and iterate, and you're not going to be able to come up with a whole new segment by yourself. So the best way to do it is find people that you enjoy watching or people who you think do it really well, and then simply just use that to your advantage and improve and recreate what you think is best and change out certain different elements to make it yours. Very simple. I would have a look at Pinterest. Here you can see a bunch of different things, but mostly it comes down to the lifestyle, and we'll go into that in just a second. And then we have the 4 different things that make your brand rules in general. Now that's going to start with fonts, your colors, your aesthetic, and the meaning behind your videos. Now, starting off with fonts over here, we can see that most people have a primary font, which is a bold font, and a secondary one being something more playful and different, which we can see by clicking on this link over here, and you can see these amazing looking reels. And you can tell there are literally 2 different sorts of title here. So you can see the bold just there, and then you can see the secondary. Very simple. Now, when it comes to the colors, again, you want to choose some stuff that is very simple, and make sure to include the basics. White, black, those are your biggest friends. And then as secondary colors, you can choose 1 to 3 different colors that might help in a general aspect towards your videos. Now you can see this with almost everyone. You see this in this shot it very self. That's orange, that's orange. The lighting is slightly orange. This is slightly darker brown. Everything is a bit brownish around me, and that's why one of my colors is orange on top of the black and white being standard. I also use a lot of blue throughout my thumbnails and videos, so that's another one. And if you just want to quickly have a look, Brez himself doesn't have a really strong color scheme, but you can still tell throughout his profile that he's got white, red, and black, gray as his main 4 colors essentially. And you see that throughout his videos very evidently. So you can see, first of all, white over here, white t-shirt, gray, black, gray, red, black, white, black, literally all the colors, including maybe a bit of purple here and there too. From an aesthetic standpoint, make a lot of sense, and many of you aren't going to notice, but it helps to tie things in. And something that you can help this with is also just looking again at Pinterest, and look what you're able to pull off as well. Pull something like this off when you don't live near the beach, all right? So choose something that makes sense, please. So just have a good look on Pinterest, or maybe look at your favorite people on their Instagrams, and they normally have a bunch of stuff there too. Now, the meaning behind your content, this is also key, guys. This is absolutely key, because there's a real difference between someone who is very serious, very successful, or having something similar to those characteristics, and someone who is just young, ambitious, is funny, is real, likes to share everything about themselves. So those kind of things also play a big effect into your overall branding that you want to take into account. Now, your profile picture. This is basically a combination of everything that we just talked about put into one thing, essentially. And that should encompass everything a little bit and should be consistent throughout all your profiles. Now, going on into the Instagram section of the video. Now, this is a very important part as well, because Instagram is basically your portfolio. It's the modern version of LinkedIn, and although many people still use LinkedIn, I would argue nowadays this is the main source of finding someone and DMing them or getting in contact with them is very much this way. Definitely when it comes to influencers, this is definitely the way they do it. Unlike companies will vary more and be a bit more into LinkedIn and X and other socials like that. So when it comes to your bio, you want to keep it short, you want to keep it simple. You can see here breast scales. They both have their very simple basic bios that first of all make a quick little statement. I scale brands, building, and then have the companies that he's setting up. And same goes for Moritz. Crypto, internet markets, I have nothing to sell you, and has a link to his community. Very simple but highly effective, and shouldn't be anything more than that. Now, what a lot of people do like to do, like what I include in my services, a small little link tree page, like the one that Daniel Dallin has over here. Now, this is a custom one, of course, but it looks a lot cleaner, and if you have the budget for it, I highly recommend it. As you can tell, very clean, sorts everything, puts it together, and has its own little flair of your style and your taste. So that's something that I definitely recommend, 100%. If not, can't afford it, Linktree. And if not, you shouldn't be having that many links in your bio anyway. I would say when it comes to story highlights, I would always vary between these two depending on what kind of brand or influencer you are. Now, a lot of these times I am saying this towards more of an influencer kind of audience here. But if you are more of a business, like a client that I've had who has done surgeries and multiple different things, it's highly recommended to actually have something like this where you can easily find testimonials and stuff like that where the aesthetics don't really matter as much. However, when it comes to influencers, I would just say keep it extremely simple. Again, black, very clean, very simple aesthetic, and then if not, nothing. Because simply in general, I mean, that's kind of what we're going for. Because the more minimal, the better, and the post itself should be speaking enough. So, I mean, in general, it should be fine either way. Yeah, that's just up to me. Feel of the aesthetic should be raw. And this is something that a lot of people miss out on. They want to obviously post the best pictures of the best. I mean, I would very highly recommend to keep it a bit more raw. Include something that's funny. That means that's a bit sentimental maybe even. Those kind of things will really attach you to your audience. That's what's going to set you apart, you know. That's how they're going to find you interesting yourself. From the types of content that I've listed out here, we've got very simply carousels, reels, and stories. Now, carousels can also be individual pictures. I don't recommend doing this because nobody has the attention span to click something as low effort as putting one photo. So carousels are the best way to go for that. When it comes to carousels, you need a roll of photos. Now, the absolute maximum that you're allowed to post is about 20, but I wouldn't go more than 12, honestly, because most people are going to flick through that and think it's just, you know, after that it gets too repetitive if you're posting similar aesthetic pictures. So I would just go 12, 13. That's around the sweet spot if you want to show that you're providing a lot of content. If not, 10's fine. Anywhere around that is completely okay too. I mean, I wouldn't go less than 5 if you're doing a proper carousel. Now, why I say proper? Because there are two different types of carousels. We'll look at someone like Breast Scales and George Heaton. Now, Breast Scales has one way of doing his carousels. These are very short and very simple. It's 3 versions of one photo essentially, and it just brings a nice little extra touch of bringing some extra detail into a simple post like that. And that is one type of carousel, and those should be limited to around 3 or 4 at absolute most. But you never really want to be doing one. This is what you would call a proper carousel, where you have something like 7, 8 pictures involved. Now, George Heaton is the absolute GOAT when it comes to doing a ridiculous amount of photos on a different level of aesthetic. You can just tell the quality of this is extremely high, but after a while, you see it gets a bit too repetitive, and you know, as much as it is great content, people don't have the attention span, unfortunately. Just make sure you stay within that ideal bracket. And from the outside, when it comes to outside pictures, you just want your front page to look like a Pinterest board, because that's essentially what looks cleanest, what looks best, what receives the most engagement. So that's where I'd be heading with that. And you can see from Breast Scale's front view and from George Heaton's front view that it just looks great. Like, they match, they all fit together very well. Clear visual as to what they're doing or what their kind of style or the theme about their page is. And that's the number one most important thing. So going from carousels into reel, you can be one of 2 people essentially in this case. You can be either version 1, which is someone who edits extremely high quality, keeps it very simple, straightforward, which becomes more aesthetic, less clutter, and in fact gets way more views per video than version 2, which is someone who is basically just imported a clipping account into their main account. Now you can see this again via the same two guys as we just mentioned before, and that comes down to looking at someone like George Heaton, where you can see these high quality edited reels, and you know, for him they're pumping views, which is great. But you can tell these are just super high quality. They look amazing. You can even have a look at Iman Gadzhi's page over here, and you'll see this iconic video that we all know. Just great videos in general, and the reception on those are absolutely insane. So you can see 5 mil, 6 mil almost across a couple. Compared to someone like Breast Scales or TGR, where you have a look at their pages here and they're just spamming videos essentially every single day. Edits, whatever you can come up with is on here, and that is a faster way to grow, but it will make you seem like a TikToker essentially, is what I'm saying. If you look at TGR over here, for example, same thing, literally the exact same thing. So this is the way to grow. If you want to grow, you can tell by the amount of views that these guys are getting and the amount of followers they're getting. It's absolutely unreal. But yeah, most people in fact will rather keep that image and then have multiple different accounts that actually share those reels with them. So you can always see Iman Gadzhi reels, Brez reels, all that kind of stuff, different pages that all post that kind of stuff continuously, so that you don't sacrifice that aesthetic. Third way of making reels is that you don't go between clipping and you don't go between aesthetic edits, but you're in the middle and you simply give them value. Now this is only for businesses. This is what I ended up doing with my client, who is actually a surgeon. So we posted a video about spine surgery and addressing complications within spine surgery, and that managed to get 500k views, and we uploaded it twice on accident, and it actually surpassed 1 million because it did it twice. But that is the third way, and that's providing value for the people who follow. Now stories are extremely important because this is what ties you extremely close to the people who are following you. On top of that, they can act as a great way to close more people into your info products. If you look at two different types of stories, these are like the info product stories where you're trying to get them to join something or sign up to something or watch something, and that's something I put together very aesthetically in this one over here. Now on the other hand, you can do lifestyle ones like Brez has done on a frequent schedule, and people are just going to really love it. Looking through the content, it's just great, but you want to make sure it's chill, it's real, have fun with it, don't make it too obvious. And you always want to have something up there because just in general, people like to watch stories. Now a series of stories will easily sign more clients, and the best way to show this to you is this guy over here. Now this guy's the absolute GOAT when it comes to this kind of stuff. I highly recommend you go check out his channel. Now you can see through the way that he will lead you through the process, show you all the client victories, testimonials, and finally you can join his course or whatever it is that you need to join. And that is exactly what you need to do in an aesthetic way that's just simple, clean, and laid out well. Going into YouTube, your banner should be simple. It should be super clean, super simple. Again, following the brand color schemes and lifestyle themes. But you can also do something a bit more simplistic. And when you're making your banner, make sure you keep it to that pixel range, and don't bother to put any handles in there because no one is going to read that. I'm telling you now, no one's going to read that. And it should definitely match with the thumbnails, 100%. With YouTube, you need to keep the feel real, because without that, they're not going to understand. You're just selling them out. You're fake. You're not real. And you do that with a bunch of different techniques that I'm going to show you right now. Now, first of all, you want to split your videos up into two different kinds. Now, you have VSL videos, which are info videos, which is like what I'm doing right now. And then I have my vlog videos aside from that. So those are two different types. And when it comes to thumbnails, now obviously there's more types of videos that you can come up with. And if there is a type of video, just go and look for the people who do it the best in the current moment and just go ahead and copy them. Like literally just go ahead and copy them. The same way, the people who are doing it best at the moment for the vlog videos, Here are the thumbnails. Keep it clean, keep it simple, keep it raw. You want to find something that correlates to those kind of things as much as possible too when trying to find something. When it comes to info videos, show that you have the info. This is the problem. Many people just put up these stupid effects, stupid thumbnails, and it's as if you're selling absolutely nothing. You're talking to them without actually showing or explaining anything logical. When it comes to the description, I'm going to make a whole video on this because this is super important, how to convert clients. Now, description plays a big role in this. Now you can see Iman Gatzi's vlog videos will always lead you to a VSL video, and his VSL videos are basically a big video that is going to essentially soft sell you on a link to something that he earns money off of. So his vlog video will go to his VSL video, which will push you to a link, and that link will eventually buy. Some people like to do it that complex process, and that's something that makes it a bit more invisible and actually increases the amount of views that he gets and everything alongside that. But on the other hand, if you do want to just go straight for it, you can look at Brez's one. Very simple, and people just click on it out of interest even. So yeah, just make sure you link everything you need to link. And then when it comes to titles, here are a couple examples that I found are doing extremely well at the moment. These are that kind of raw kind of, you know what, here's how we do it. This is how I'm doing it. I'm 17, I'm 19, this is how much I'm making. Just raw facts, facts, facts. Now, through this prompt over here that I created myself, this is going to generate a ton of different responses for titles that are just going to work extremely well. You can pick and choose some things that you like and just iterate through ChatGPT. It's very simple and it works all the time for me. So you make sure it's got something unique in it, like unemployed. That's what I'm sticking to. It will definitely make big improvements on your titles and creativity in general. Now, when it comes to TikTok and other programs, yeah, I just recommend staying extremely raw on TikTok. This is a place where your brand aesthetic doesn't matter as much, and so you can just kind of go off track with that and just make fun content that people can relate to or have fun with, if that makes sense. Now, when it comes to bios, that's very self-explanatory. It's the same as Instagram. And same with everything else. And places like X and LinkedIn, I don't really have a clue what I would put on there, to be honest. But what I will say is that I truly do recommend working on a Pinterest account, not only because of increased amount of viewership, but because it's a place where people can go and see your history, your backup, and your aesthetic, and if they're interested in your personal brand. As you can see, I just started this Pinterest account and we're already at 2K monthly views. And although it's not big, although it doesn't do much for me, it still helps me practice the art and craft of making good pictures and seeing what does well and what doesn't. So that's pretty much everything you need to know about making a good personal brand that is aesthetic. Now, I haven't touched nearly enough topics to completely cover everything about personal branding, but that's why you can go and ask me on Instagram. If you DM me personal brand alongside a question or anything you really want to answer, you can go ahead, do that. And if you want to work directly alongside me, again, I don't really like plugging, but we literally handle everything from the above. And that even includes conversions. If you want to work alongside me, again, just go ahead and DM me. I hope you all very much enjoyed this video. And soon there's going to be a video on actual conversion funnels, and that's something that we're going to be touching up on because it's so important to see how these guys in the industry like Breastscales, TGR, and all the boys mentioned in this video convert their viewers into good clients or people who are willing to pay. That's all I got today, and I'll see you in the next weeks because we've got to hit by 50K by the end of the year for sure. So